Oh, man. Hey.
Okay, now we're live. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too, man.
Hey, so this week I was pondering a lot about your journey from the moment you went solo
Sure.
to maybe the first year. 'Cause I remember you talking to me about how you were developing the culture of what you wanted to establish and what you were going to ask or, demand from your people.
Yeah.
And then what you were going to provide. Mm-hmm. But the culture was very important to you.
Yes.
And I've heard that continually all these years. So I'm going to go back to that period of time.
Okay.
It's maybe month 3 to 12.
Okay.
And it was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, we were a little bit frazzled. But I want to talk about something you continually said to me, which I didn't fully grasp because I didn't think it was possible.
Okay.
And that was you wanted to instill or demand that your people adopt, if they don't already have it, an entrepreneurial mindset.
Sure.
Although they may have a salary/bonus position there.
Yeah.
And that's always puzzled me to a degree. Like, how do you actually go about doing that?
Yeah. So one, it's a challenge, right? So let's start there. So, and when I say the entrepreneurial mindset, our firm, we have 3 core values, right? The first one is be a good human being. Like, that's gate 1 you have to get through to be part of the firm. Be a good human being. 2, you have to be willing to get dirty, right? Meaning, I always use the example, if I'm willing to wash the dishes in the kitchen, you all should be willing to do the same thing. No one's above or below anything. Then third is the entrepreneurial spirit. And what that means is you can be an entrepreneur as an employee. It's just being willing to think outside the lines, outside the norm, and be willing to take more risks than usual. Like, I understand, yes, when I first started the firm, I'm like, I'm going to hire all entrepreneurs. Well, that's a misnomer, right? Because entrepreneurs typically don't get hired. They start their own companies.
That was my question.
So I shifted that slightly to understand, okay, well, I'm the entrepreneur because I started it. I want people to think like entrepreneurs. They don't necessarily have to be an entrepreneur, right? They still have the safety of a salary. They still have the safety of the environment I've created, but I'm encouraging them to take risks, to build their own book of business, to truly challenge the norms of what a law firm is. Like, we've always tried to be different. And our tagline is redefine legal services. Mm-hmm. So it's really about giving people the culture and the space to be who they are. Not say, this is how you have to be as an employee. Say, hey, here's our goal we're trying to achieve. Figure out how to get there. Like, give me ideas. Like, I never say no to an idea. I'm always willing to try. Like, many people in my organization have had many ideas over the years we've tried. Some have been great. Some haven't worked. Some have kind of been in the middle. But it's encouraging your employees to be willing to take risks. If I boiled it down to one statement, that's what it would be.
Okay, so do you think there's a natural inclination maybe with people who have salary positions that they might avoid risk, or they might be actually afraid of risk initially until they learn the culture?
Oh, yeah.
I
think, there's definitely, look, I can't expect everybody I hire to look at risk like I do, right? I always thought I was just a wild risk taker. Like, my DISC profile says that. Like, my C is like almost non-existent.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
However, what I realized about myself is because I'm always thinking 5 steps ahead, most of the risks that people think I take, in my mind, aren't necessarily risks. They've already calculated all the outcomes. Before I make a move, I've already calculated the 5 different ways it can go. Do I get caught off guard every once in a while? Of course I do. Everybody does. So it's really about the willingness to take a risk. And when people come into the organization, I can't expect them day one to be risk takers. All I can do is show them it's okay to take risks. Show them what's possible when you do take risks, and hope they follow suit, and then guide them and mentor them and let them know that I'm supporting them. I'm going to support those risk-taking habits, not necessarily quash them. Where I think a lot of organizations, they want people to just stay in line. Here's what you do. Here's your box. Here's your lane. Stay there. Do that. Take your paycheck and go home. To me, it's like, I created a firm. Come and work for me. I don't know what your job is. we'll figure it out, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it.
So that requires you to be willing to give more latitude for your people.
Yeah, absolutely. I give a ton of latitude for my people. Now, again, that could bite me in the ass, right? Because I don't think anybody takes advantage of it knowingly. I think just human beings have an inclination to just, take advantage of a situation they're put in. I'm not saying that my people do that, but I think there's always the possible risk of that. But I had to be willing as the owner to say, what's really important to me? It's that people will think creatively, take risks, try something different. If they don't come in at 8:30, is that really a big deal to me? As long as they're getting the shit done and thinking the way I want them to think and acting the way I want them to act.
Yeah.
I don't want to be corporate America. I don't want to you have to be here from this time to this time. Now, we have processes in place. I actually just had this discussion this morning. We build all these processes, but sometimes we forget we have to be flexible. Like, we have to be able to think. Like, there was something that happened today where I sent an email to someone, and I wanted them to do it a certain way, and maybe I wasn't clear, but they followed the process we have for situations like this, which, okay, that works 90% of the time, but when it comes from me, I want it done the way I want it done, regardless of the process. And they just didn't get that. And that's I take ownership of that because it wasn't clear in my direction. It was just, hey, can you handle this? Their way of handling it was, yes, we have a process for that. Here's what we're going to do. My thing was like, no, you handle it. I forwarded it to you. You handle it, not give it to the person in the process that handles it. I forwarded it to you to do it. If I wanted someone else to do it, I would have forwarded it to them.
So it comes back again to communication.
Communication, yeah. That's the biggest thing I've learned about an organization having employees and trying to create a culture of entrepreneurialism is communication is key. Expectations are key. Accountability is key. Responsibility is key. Like, all of those are key factors in creating the right environments.
Yeah, and I would imagine everybody has their own comfort level too with being introduced to freedom or risk taking, and they kind of have to grow into that to a degree.
Yeah, I think some people absolutely. A lot of people do, right? Because they're not used to it. If you came from another organization where you had these rules and these boxes, and then you're here, it's like, okay, you're pretty much free to build your position how you want, as long as it moves the organization towards your ultimate goal. And some people are like, oh shit, like they're like deer in headlights. They don't know what to do. Unique. I think it is. Maybe it's not, but I think I'm really trying to encourage the people that work for me to become the best versions of themselves. Like, that's truly all that matters to me. The success of the firm will happen. But if I can bring people in, and if I can impact them in a way where, whether they stay with me for their entire career or leave a year from now or leave 2 years from now or whatever, that I made a positive impact on their life and help them become a better version of themselves, my job is done. That's all that matters to me, truly. Not the money, not the success, like obviously helping the clients and building the firm. But if I can impact the people that work for me to better their lives and become better versions of themselves just by either my mentorship, being around me, or just something I say or do, to me, my job is done.
Let me share this with you. This was something that I recognized in just my growth into my 20s, into my 30s. My tolerance of risk or thinking outside the box, or just as my father used to say, you just get it done. Having that attitude. It did change, and it changed from going from an employee that sat in the cubicle. Yeah. Because there was limited amount of risk taking. Yeah. When I went into sales, though, and I started to see, I started to understand what latitude I had, and I understand, hey, if I do these things, I don't know if there's a policy on it or not, but it's easier to ask forgiveness and permission. Yeah. And look what happens if it works. Right. And having a few successes there, it started to change the way I lived. It bled over into my personal life. It 100%. Bled into my family life. And I started looking at the world differently because within my career, I was given more latitude. Yeah. And then ultimately in the entrepreneurship, then it's, totally your own volition. But it was interesting how there was a direct correlation between the freedom and trust I was given as an employee and how that bled into, my growth as a person.
Oh, yeah. you look at the world completely from a different perspective.
That's it.
I mean, you really do. Like, I look at it, I was in corporate America for 14 years. Before that, I was in big law, and I had jobs. When I finally left and started this, and, I had other businesses, it was, your personal life definitely is different, because it's almost like you look at life without restraint. I always say, why can't I do it? Why can't it be done? Like, why not? I think that's what entrepreneurs do. And that's not just in the business world, personally. Like, why not try that? You experience life differently, because I believe the employee mentality is that of, that can't be done. We're not going to be able to do that. Like, there's always the default reaction is that we can't. It can't be done. It's too hard. That's not what I'm supposed to do. The entrepreneur's default is like, yeah, I'll figure it out. Let's do it. If someone's done it, it can't be done. Like, to me, there's shit in my life that I'm like, I can probably do that. I'm like, there's no effing way. But my default is positive. Like, how do I get it done? How do I find the way? How do I find the path? How do I solve the problem? That's how entrepreneurs think, compared to employees who, I'm not saying they don't solve problems, but their default is safety. Mm-hmm. So they're saying, that's a risk. We probably shouldn't do that. I'm like, that's a risk. We absolutely should do that. That's where growth comes from. Mm-hmm. And that's really what it boils down to. It's like it's a mindset of growth.
I also recognized, in looking back, I didn't see it while it was happening, but I went from a customer service standpoint where I really never had an understanding, regardless of the firm I was with, how my job interacted with the bottom line. There wasn't real numbers ever presented to me.
Okay.
Like statistics to understand, but not just internal statistics, but a real understanding of my effort to save these customers and get them happy results in this amount of money for the business. That was never shared with us in that position.
Okay.
I got into a position then called retention, where my job was to take troubled customers that wanted to cancel their service, keep them.
Yeah.
Well, we got more latitude to do that. We were able to think a little more creatively. But more importantly, Rocco, for me, was I was shared from management numbers like you directly saved the company this amount of dollars by doing this.
Yeah.
I felt like I was taking a little more ownership. As corny as that sounds, big corporation.
No.
But I felt like my job had some real world relevance in terms of data. And then you go into sales, you really start to understand how your job affects the revenue of the company in a direct way.
Oh yeah.
And then you take more chances, and you feel like I just felt like the more I was given an understanding of what my task was and how I affected the organization, the more enthused I was to do my job. Now, again, that's just me, but I can't be alone in that, I wouldn't think.
No, I think you're hitting on a very important topic, that you should always try and make your employees understand their importance to the organization, because people want to feel like they belong somewhere, right? And if they're an employee working and they don't understand what they do, how it impacts the rest of the organization, then they're just doing tasks.
Right.
If they understand how their actions impact the bigger vision, then they're doing something for a purpose. They now have purpose in their actions. And that's when you turn a good employee to a great employee, when you give them purpose. Sometimes it's numbers. Sometimes it's not numbers, right? Not every employee wants to see the numbers. They just want to know they're making an impact.
Right.
They want to know, and sometimes people get caught up in the numbers. Like, I have to sometimes talk to, like, some of my attorneys when we're talking about business development. I always say, because I was talking to one recently about just the business development. I said, you're getting too hung up on the outcome of business development. Just be curious about people. And if you just be curious and talk to people, meet a lot of people, business development becomes the byproduct. But if you go and you think you have to develop business because that's how you see this value to an organization, you're going to get caught up and you're never going to do enough, because in your mind, unless you see that needle moving every time you meet with someone, you're like, that's a wasted meeting. That's a wasted meeting. That's a waste. It didn't move the needle. But if you look at moving the needle differently, like, hey, the more people I meet, the more curious I am, eventually that tips over and business comes from it. And it's the byproduct.
That's big.
That's to me fundamental.
Really big. That's really big.
Yeah, but that's fundamental, right? Because people get so caught up in thinking that meeting sucked. It didn't get any business from it. It didn't lead to $1. It didn't lead to a client. But if you're just curious and you meet 100 people, eventually those are going to turn into clients or referrals. And the numbers start to stack up, but you have to just put in the reps, and you can't look at it from the outcome of business development. The outcome should be how many people I meet. The byproduct of that outcome is you'll eventually get business.
Yeah. So it sounds like to me what you're also stating is the value of the process is the relationship.
Yeah. Yes.
Is the human interaction.
Yes. That is the most valuable thing right now. Like I always say this, fall in love with the process. Whatever the process is, if you fall in love with the process, the outcome that you want to achieve is just the byproduct. Because if you think about it, if you fall in love with going to the gym, getting in shape is the byproduct, right? Like when I've gotten in the best shape of my life recently because I fell back in love with the process. Like for a while there, if I look at it, before I started working with this coach, I was going through the motions. Like I wasn't putting in the effort because I didn't really have a plan. I was just doing what I always knew. There was no one holding me accountable, and there was no one giving me a forward-moving plan that I saw outcome or I saw results.
Right.
Now I kind of fell back in love. Like I'm learning new things. It's just like I wasn't even paying attention to the changes I was making. But then when I look back, from 2 years ago to today, I'm like, holy shit, I'm a different person. Like I look completely different.
There's no question.
But it wasn't about the look. It wasn't about I wanted to lose X or do Y. It's just I fell back in love with the process of working out and the process of prepping meals and just being very focused and diligent with my health and wellness. And then just the result became the byproduct of falling. And that in anything, if you do that, business development, sales, you fall in love with the process of doing it, you'll always get the outcome.
And the discipline that goes with it.
Yeah, it's just, but people are so outcome focused, become process focused, love the process. Then the outcomes are just, they're the byproducts.
Why do you feel that we're wired that way?
Instant gratification. Think about it. Think about people want instant gratification. We've all been there, right? We all have those moments where like we want it to work now. We want it to happen right now. Like quick fixes, the quick pill, the quick this. Like there is no quick fix. The fix is the process. Fall in love with it, and then you will get the results. But you have to be willing to stick through it. But we are wired as a society to truly look at things from an instant gratification perspective. Amazon, you get things today. Like I ordered something literally this morning, it'll be here today. Like that's instant gratification. Like I love it. That's awesome. But that's why we're wired that way. Because Amazon said, we'll have it there by 5. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? But that's how we're wired. But that goes across all areas of life.
Is it harder to manage a group of employees when you give them that much latitude?
Oh, yes. I'm not going to lie and say no. It's the hardest thing to do. Because just take employees in general, right? You go, when you have one employee, there's 2 ways to communicate, right? When you have 3 employees, now there's multiple ways to communicate because we all communicate differently. When you have 10 people, like I have to learn to communicate in a million different ways just to talk to people. Then managing their personalities, their expectations, the way they work, the way they think, it's hard. It's hard. And that's why they say most managers or leaders, once you have 10 people in your charge, is typically when you need to bring on another second level leader.
Okay.
Because you can't go past 10 is, and I'm feeling that now. Like I'm there. I'm like, okay, if you add more people, I'm going to be like, what's happening? But you learn to delegate. You learn to shift things off your plate. But yeah, it's a hard thing to do. Not in a bad way. It's just I'm a compassionate and empathetic person. So I want to make sure all of my employees are taken care of. But they're cared for differently. All of them. All of them are motivated differently. All of them want different things. All of them see the world a different way. And me, as a leader, I have to understand that and try my best to mentor them and guide them and encourage them in the way they need to be encouraged, mentored, or guided. Not in the way I think it has to happen, in the way they receive it. And that's a hard thing to do.
Certainly.
Especially from a person that's a control freak like me. I mean, this is how you do it. Just do it this way. This is the right way. But I'm like, okay, well, if they don't get information that way, it's like I'm talking to a wall.
That's a good point.
That's the hard thing.
Yeah. I can imagine the management has to be much more involved, because to do it right, you got to be real specific on communication and the variances from employee to employee.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And bigger firms aren't really willing to do that. They want the employee to fit their communication style. They almost demand it.
Yeah, no, you're right. And that's what makes it harder for me, right? Because I don't want to create that environment where like this is it. Now there are certain things where we have processes and like this is just how we do it for efficiency's sake, right? Like even recently I had to start like this week we're implementing it. Like, hey, every meeting I'm part of, if I don't have an agenda given to me, I'm not going to be part of the meeting because I'm not needed. If you don't have an agenda for the meeting and what are the decisions and outcomes that need to be made, I don't need to be part of the meeting. So I'm realizing my calendar is filling up with a lot of shit I don't need to be part of. So now it's like, do you need me for a decision in this meeting? No? Okay, I don't need to be there. And so just like learning those things, like there's a lot of things you have to do when you have employees to make sure things are moving.
Is there a point in your mind that you feel that management will become easier for either you or your management team? Is it like when the company gets to 60 employees or 160 employees or 550 or what? Do you think there's an actual number? Roughly speaking.
No, I don't. I don't think, I'll use an analogy, right? Hitting a 95-mile-an-hour fastball is hard regardless of when you do it. It's just when you put in the reps, it seems a little bit easier to do. But it's still one of the hardest things in sports to do.
No question.
Same thing with employees, right? Like managing employees is still very hard to do. But when you do it for a longer period of time, you just start to anticipate things differently. Doesn't make it easier. It makes it more efficient, I would say.
Well, you become better at it.
You become better at it, but it doesn't mean it's easier. It doesn't mean it's an easy thing to do. It's still the same difficulties.
Okay.
You can just, because again, hitting a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, it's still coming 95 miles an hour. I've just taken enough swings where now it looks slower to me.
Yeah.
Because I learned to pick up on ball speed, spin, timing. But I had to put in the reps, right? Same thing. Managing employees is still hard. You're just now have the experience to understand when people say certain things, do certain things. You can anticipate what's coming.
But plus, you've encountered, some similar circumstances. Not that they're all similar, but
definitely.
You'll pick up trends, you'll pick up things, and you get more experience in dealing with those type of reactions.
Yeah, absolutely. And you learn, you develop your intuition. That's a big thing. I think the best leaders have really good intuition. You can sense when something's off. You just have to be in tune with your people. Yeah,
I would imagine you're almost asking your employees with the latitude you're providing to at times use their intuition too. What feels right.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I mean, if they have, if they have the bandwidth and the leeway to run their departments the way they see fit, that means use your intuition. Like do what's right. If you need my guidance or my help, ask me. That's what I'm here for. But I don't know what you don't know. So use your best judgment. Use your intuition. I think sometimes you have to throw people to the fire to get them to develop their intuition. Because if they continue to lean on me, and that's my own fault for allowing it or for just, almost encouraging people to lean on me. Now, since I've taken the hands off the wheel, they're all learning how to do things themselves and make better decisions and it's working. It's moving in the right direction. Definitely.
Do you think that it's more difficult to hire when you put entrepreneurial spirit as part of the package you're looking for?
Well, I think it's just hard to hire in general now. It's hard to find good employees. I do think that's a variable that can make it a lot more difficult just because how are you going to define it, right? So, and then everybody...
How do you define it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the first question. Then the second thing is, by the way you define it, then can you sort through people's bullshit? Because people will tell you a lot of shit in interviews. It doesn't really play out.
For sure.
So that's the other challenge with it, They think entrepreneur, they go to their brain, like what they see on Instagram, they start talking about these things they've done or these things they've learned. It's like, well, okay, like you gotta learn to sniff it out. But it's definitely a challenge. I mean, hiring in general is a challenge. That adds a different layer of complexity to it.
Is it a personality type? Is it like when you're looking for position A and you have the job description?
Yeah.
Roughly speaking. Is it like, do you say, I need this kind of personality in that position because of the task at hand, but I need this kind of personality in this position? Do you start hiring based upon like personality at the top, near the top?
To me, I always say, yeah, I can teach you how to do something. I can't teach you a personality or work ethic, right? Like you've got to have those variables. You got to have the right personality and you got to have the right attitude and work ethic. Like those are the two, that's the starting point. And then from there, you look at and you start dissecting what else is there. But if you don't have the right personality or the right attitude / work ethic, it's probably not going to work.
I always thought it was easier for a company to find their leaders organically when they do provide their employees latitude to try things and make mistakes. The more you give that empowerment, I would think your natural leaders will slowly come to the top.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yes. Yes, they will rise to the top. The cream always rises to the top.
And otherwise, if they're just in finite little boxes, they may never rise. They may never, whether they actually know they have leadership ability or not, it'll never surface because they're in a box.
Yeah, exactly. You have to let people out of the box and see what they're capable of. And be like, one thing I had to learn, and this was a hard thing for me to learn, but it's helped me tremendously, is I have to be okay with 80%. What do you mean? Meaning the way I do it is the 100%. So if I'm going to delegate things to people, because I had a hard time delegating things at first. Like, they're going to do it like me. Like, I know how to do it. I do it the best. I do it the fastest. 100%.
I get that.
I have to be okay with they're not supposed to do it like me. It's never going to be like me. I'd rather have their 80% than my 0% because it's not getting done.
Got it.
And then once you give people the things to do, and it's 80% the first time, eventually it gets to your standard, but it just takes time. You gotta be willing to invest the time up front to train the people the right way to do the task. So if it's a task that would take me an hour, like on a consistent, the repetition, every time I do it is an hour. If it takes me, when I pass it off to someone, 3 hours of training a person, I'm like, well, shit, I'll just do it faster in 1 hour. But if this is a repetitive task that comes up once a week, and if I take 3 hours to train a person, then the next week it takes an hour and a half. And then the third week I'm done. So that's 4.5 hours. By week 5, I am now buying my time back, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Because now I've put 4.5 hours of training them in, and I've given them that same task every week for 5 weeks, which would take me an hour each time. So now I've got a half hour back. Over time, it compounds. And that's how you got to look at it.
That's the long game.
Yeah, you got to play the long game because time compounds. And if you invest it up front in training people the right way, the payback is compounded.
Have you ever trained somebody? I found this empowerment, this idea of empowerment workable years ago in the guitar business. I didn't do it enough. The times I did finally pull myself away from the process and let them go do it, I found that some of the things they ended up doing were done better than I could have done. They were done in a better way.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, if I just could do more of that.
No, 100%.
Let it go. Like, I never thought of doing it like that.
Yes, 100%. That definitely happens. And that's, you got to be willing to let it go to see it.
Yes.
And be okay that something's just going to get it messed up. And there's going to be mistakes. And you're going to be like, oh, shit, I should have done this. But yeah, you should have done it because mistakes happen. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. So we can't expect people to be perfect. It's a different mindset.
So you have your processes. Do your people, are they instructed to say, let me ask you this question. So are they instructed to, once they understand the process well, are they instructed to have the ability to say, hey, this part of the process could be better done this way? Are they able to contribute to refining things as you go forward?
That's all I want from them. That's the point of having employees, right? Not to just do the task, to make the task more efficient. Because if they're doing it every day, I may see a task a certain way and say, okay, do it this way. Here's how I want it done. They're like, okay. They start doing it. As they're doing it more and more, they're realizing there's a better way to do this. That's exactly why I want them there.
You would think.
And that's what they do. They say, well, I don't think, and we've shifted. I've had a process in my head. We put it on paper. We implement it. And they're like, no, this is way too complicated. And they make it a lot simpler because they're in it every day. They see it differently than I do. So, yeah, I encourage that tremendously to do that. For people to do that.
Okay. So when I got in corporate America, right out of high school practically in 85, I got into a big company, and this company was called Roadway, RPS, which became FedEx Ground. I was there in the very beginning, and it was great because I just jumped into the deep pool. I was working with people that had master's degrees, and I was a fish out of water. But I learned the inner workings of a corporation. I did, for better or worse. In vogue at the time was a book called In Search of Excellence, and it was written by a guy named, I think it's Tom Peters was his name. In our lifetime, it's looked upon as being the de facto customer service book that tilted the market. It really, and it came in the early 80s. Okay. We went through a lot of training from the Peters Academy and all that, teaching us that we needed to adopt the processes of our job and then work to find quality, work to find increased quality, look for efficiency. And I thought that was all great for brownie points, but the company never really rewarded the employees. So I always felt like there was something missing to get full participation. Yeah. It sounded great. Yeah. And it made sense to me. In the bigger picture, for sure, let's make the processes better. Let's get those packages delivered a little early. Let's figure this out. But the lack was that the company did not recognize, outside of a little plaque or something, there wasn't anything tangible the employees felt like they could buy into it and that their difference could be valued in a way that would reward them. Makes any sense?
Yeah, no, I completely understand that.
And I wonder if that was kind of symptomatic in corporations for a long period of time, or did they eventually turn the corner and realize, hey, you've got to get them incentivized. Employees have to be incentivized in a way that they feel like their contributions to change are actually valued.
Well, I think
that makes sense.
No, I think the best companies do that. I think bad companies don't. I think the good companies understand that employees need to feel part of something. They need to be incentivized. They need to be all incentivized in different ways. Okay. Other companies, like the one where you were, it's like, just do this, make it better, but we don't really care. You're not recognized for doing it. Right. But look at other companies where they give people time every day to do process improvements. And they're rewarded for finding mistakes. They're rewarded for, changing things. And I think that's how you build a growth-oriented organization, by encouraging your people on the front line to improve the quality. Right? I mean, that's the whole thing, I think, with the Japanese in Six Sigma, right? It's like constant improvement.
I think that's where Peters...
It's kind of where it came from, or was based on.
He was the American... Yeah. They studied the Japanese car companies in the late 70s, early 80s, and then he brought that mindset, I think.
Constant improvement, like improve one little thing. But that's life, right? They say improve 1% a day. Like if you look at that, apply that to life, if you get 1% better a day, like truly, like that's all you should be aiming for. And just think about by the end of the year how much better of a person you'll be. Right? I mean, when you think about it, that's a big difference.
Yeah. Do you think that it's how do I say this? What's your thoughts on an employer encouraging health and well-being of their employees? Like, I understand with a small organization it's much different, but as a company grows, do you think things like wellness programs and incentivize employees to be healthy, to take care of their mental and their physical health? Have you ever seen any value? Have you been involved in any corporations that had things like that? What's your thoughts on that?
I think every company should do that, because one, it's just good for people, right? Like America, we're probably the most unhealthiest country.
No question.
So if you encourage people to take care of their health and well-being, that's just a good thing in general. Two, it makes the company more productive, right? If you have people that are in better physical and mental shape, they're going to produce more. They're going to be more productive. They're going to be more efficient. They're going to have less stress. They're going to be happier people. They're going to be happier employees, which makes happier customers. It's just, to me, it has such wide application. I think every company should be, and it lowers your healthcare costs, right? Mm-hmm. You get people to get healthy and they're not going to the doctor as much, and then your base rate for healthcare in the following year is maybe lower because you had less claims. Like, there's so many different variables to it. So I would always encourage that. A healthy workforce is a happy workforce and a productive workforce. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think everybody should be taking their health and well-being extremely serious, because there are so many stressors in this world right now. People don't realize like how much stress they're actually under on a day-to-day basis. Just by getting on social media and just seeing the sheer amount of information, that's stressful to your brain.
No question.
Like, you have to learn to unplug, meditate, journal, pray, whatever the case may be. That's extremely important. The older I get, the more I realize how important it is. Yeah. Like, I'm 48 years old. I take my health 10 times more serious than I did when I was in my 20s. Mm-hmm. In 20s, you know, I was pepping my step. I could do whatever. Now it's like, okay, like, I am methodical about certain things. Now, I also enjoy myself. Like, I'm not one of those people that, you know, eats egg whites and chicken breasts 10 times a day, every day. Like, I still enjoy myself. But I've built my foundational principles and habits around the ability to do that. I can still eat what I want if I want to, but I choose not to because I don't like it as much. Right. You know, I don't really drink much at all anymore. Right. Like, not that I was a big drinker ever, but I don't even have the urge. Like, if I'm out with friends to have a beer, like, I'll have a Diet Pepsi or water. Like, I just take things, I look at things so much differently now.
Is it more a cause and effect with you? Like, we talk about alcohol for a second, because for me, it was just, didn't want to wake up drunk anymore. And I just did not like how I felt. Don't get me wrong, having a buzz on there were some great moments, right. but how I felt the next day and how non-productive I ended up being, because I just became lazy. I didn't feel like doing anything, so oftentimes I didn't do anything.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a part of that. To me, it was more of, like, as I've gotten older, beer doesn't agree with me. I don't know if I have like a yeast, you know, sensitivity or something, but like something. So if I drink beer, not that I ever was a huge beer drinker, but if I drink beer, I can maybe have one, maybe two. If I go past two, I just feel like off. Not that I feel like hungover, just feel off, right? Slower. Sure. I don't like that. Two, to me, like, the only time I do drink is if it's social, and I can be social without drinking.
Very much so.
So to me, it's like, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to have one. Like, I may just be out. I'm like, I'm going to have a beer. Like, I just want a beer or a glass of wine or a glass of scotch. Not that I'm shying away from it. It's just choices I make are different now, because I just look at life differently. Mm-hmm. And it's just, not that I ever had the urge to drink, but it's like, if I'm out with friends, like, I may have a beer or two. Sure. You know, I'm not going to have 4 or 5 like I used to back in the day. Yeah. It's, you know, I'll have 1, maybe 2, and then I'll leave. That's just how I look. That's how my life stacks up now.
Responsible consumption of alcohol in a social setting. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
As long as it stays responsible, and not just responsible I know we socially think responsibility, get drinking and driving, which is all very important stuff. But I mean responsible to yourself, to your goals, to how you feel.
Yes.
And that's the thing.
That is, because it's like, I have things to do. I have things I want to do. I have big things I want to accomplish in life. And do these 3 drinks I'm going to have tonight move me closer to that goal? Probably not. And if it's going to hinder me in any way, I probably won't do it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
If it's a neutral, I'm like, okay, I can have 1 or 2, and I'm going to be able to do the same shit tomorrow.
Totally understand.
Yeah, or there's days where I'm like, you know what? Tomorrow is a day where I'm going to relax. Like, I'm going to give myself a rest day. And then I may have a couple beers, because I know tomorrow, like, I'm not going to try and push myself to be productive, because you can't be productive every day.
Yeah, it's just when things become a when numbing oneself to any degree becomes a habit.
Yes.
That's where it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, I've never had the habit of drinking. Like, I was never someone that came home on a Friday and said, let me grab a beer. Yeah, it was never me. Never.
Yeah, my drinking I never kept alcohol in my house. Never in my apartments. Never in my house. And so I was usually intently out somewhere to drink socially.
Yeah.
But even that can you can run into problems. Especially in the career that I was in, I was always out.
Yeah, 100%.
And you have to watch. And it's just a decision. To me, it's like everything else. It's just a decision. I didn't treat it any differently than that.
Yeah, it really is. It's do I want to have, and to me, like I'll have wine with like steak or something, but if I'm out like to dinner and it's not something I would necessarily pair wine with, to me, I want to either drink water or like Diet Pepsi because it tastes better to me with the food. I'm not always one that's going to like, I want a beer and a burger. Like it doesn't, the taste, they don't go together for me.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
You know, if I'm going to eat something shitty, I want to enjoy the burger and not have the beer aftertaste.
Don't you think though, okay, it goes back to the motivation for why one is consuming alcohol.
Sure.
If your motivation primarily is to get that feeling that so many drinks will do for you, then that's one issue.
Yeah.
That's something different.
What are you chasing?
That's right. That's exactly right. But if it really is just you like the taste, it relaxes you, one or two relaxes you and you're amongst friends and you know that, once you have that second drink, you're not doing it to get somewhere.
Yeah, correct.
And that's what I think. I think if humans could figure that delineation out, we'd have a lot less issues.
Yeah, you got to be. I believe there's an intentionality to everything, right?
Yeah, that's the word. That's the word.
Yeah, if you can be intentional with your drinking, like the last time I drank, I went out with a couple buddies of mine a couple weeks ago on a Friday night, and I had 2 beers, ate some nachos, and then I left by 7:30.
Yeah.
Got there at 5. I was there 2.5 hours. A great time. I haven't seen these guys in a while. We hung out. We caught up. 2 of my closest friends, they might have had 1 or 2 more than I did. I was just like, I was thirsty. I got a beer. I'm like, okay, it'll be a nice, refreshing beer tonight. And I had a second one, and that was it. And I was good. Like I didn't have the urge to order another one. I'm like, even if I would have stayed there 5 hours, I would have still only had the 2 because I had no urge. That's just me. The urge isn't there anymore.
Exactly. Last question.
Yeah.
It's a little odd one.
Okay.
The whole legalization of marijuana, or even beyond the legalization, the whole marijuana in society thing, really, I missed a lot of it. Okay. I wasn't paying attention. I never partook because once I left high school, I just wasn't really interested in it anymore. And I didn't have a lot of friends that really, even in the music business, they didn't do it around me. So I didn't really ever feel. I guess my question is how much of your social sphere do you see or feel or the impact of others using marijuana?
Little, if any, honestly. Like I've never had like any of my circles. They were never into drugs. None of them ever smoked. The only thing was like drinking. That was it. And I didn't even have a group of friends that were big drinkers. It was more of, no one that I'm close with that has impacted me in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I share that, and I just mention it because you constantly see it on the news, and once in a while you'll go somewhere and you'll smell skunk weed or something. It's just so overpowering. And sometimes when I show houses, you'll get that too. Yeah, but it's those moments that I'm like, I guess marijuana is a thing. I just don't think about because it doesn't. It never really has affected my circle.
No, same here. It's never impacted my life at all. So I don't. Yeah, I know it exists, but I don't ever think. There's not a day that goes by I think about it. Or I'm like, I wonder who's smoking marijuana today.
You think there's more people using it recreationally, even like business folks using it?
And I mean, I've known people that say they do it for creativity, which it may. I mean, I don't know. I've never done it, so I have no idea how that works.
Maybe.
But yeah, look, everybody has their thing, right? Yeah. And some people do use it to relax. I mean, there's a medicinal purpose where that's why they have medical marijuana.
Certainly.
So it's not it's not necessarily a bad thing. It does have its benefits. No one that I'm close with has ever done it around me or, really ever pushed me or asked me to do it. It's just not a thing. I've just never done it.
Yeah. For me, I always just felt it made me stupid. Like, I just wasn't a smart person when I was stoned. And after a while, I just didn't want to walk around not having my wits about me. No, it's like, and I figured that out coming out of high school.
It's about choices. It really is, and I've just always looked at life as I like to have fun.
Yeah.
I like to have a good time, but I didn't have to do those things to have fun or have a good time.
Right.
I think if you're curious about people and you're a social person, you can put me in a room with people that are drunk or high or whatever, and I'll still have a good time. I'll still talk to them. I'll still make friends.
What is your thoughts on hobbies? Like when you were like, I believe everybody should have at least one thing that they really love to do, and maybe something that they can get lost in. Hopefully, it's healthy.
Yeah.
But what's your thoughts on that?
No, I think everybody should have a hobby that's a passion, right? Because I think it gives you an outlet. Do I think everybody does? No. I think people have the hobby of doom scrolling or watching TV, and that takes up the time where they could invest in a hobby. Like, I don't even know that I have necessarily a hobby, right? I read a lot and I work out.
You lift.
That's my hobby, I guess you'd say. Like but to me, it's part of just who I am.
Yeah.
Like I always looked at hobbies like building model airplanes or things like that. Like I never really had a hobby that my hobbies always revolved around just personal development. Like I read a ton, like I journal, like I like to create things.
You have a lot of discipline. Like I would think I have a level of discipline with guitar playing, but the thing I love about guitar playing is I can just grab it and get lost in it for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Probably not that disciplined. I'm not doing scales and things I probably could be doing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just and probably this whole podcast is a hobby.
This is a passion of yours too.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, that's the thing. And again, like this stuff is fun for me too. Like I'm getting more into video creation now. Like maybe that's becoming the hobby, like creating content now, like day in the life videos and things like that. To me, that's just interesting because I'm not someone that ever thought was creative, and I just like to do it. It's like interesting to me. So
I always felt bad for people that would say to me, "Well, I don't have any hobbies." And I you talk to them like, "You got to have something. Yeah. What do you like doing?" And invariably, you do hear some folks that TV. That's what they do every night. It's TV or have a couple beers or get on the bar and hang out with their buddies. And I'm not knocking any of it.
No,
that's your choice.
Yeah,
God love you. I always would think that, man, there's so many amazing, curious things to do.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
People just need to do. Like, just do. And if you mess up or so what? You can look back and say, I did it. I tried.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's why not? If something's interesting to you, like, why not try it out? Like, the time's going to pass anyways.
That's right.
Just do it.
That's right.
Yeah,
what's the worst? Well, I tried it. It wasn't for me.
Okay, now you know.
Go try something else. Go try something else.
Right. Like the same thing with like sales or business development. Like just try. It's worst case scenario, it doesn't work. But if you don't do anything, it definitely doesn't work.
It's never going to work.
Right. So at least I tried. This thing doesn't work. Let me try something else.
And on that note, go out and try something different.
Exactly. That's what this week's about, man. Summer's over.
Summer is over. Back to business.
Yes, definitely.
Good seeing you, buddy.
You too, man.
All right, we'll do it again next week. Thanks so much.
See you.